welcome to the newest edition of the Geny Mets podcast. Neil up here with Josh Onbinder. We're about to break it all down for you what happened last night, newest updates, newest rumors. Welcoming you on this Suspended. We're talking Mets. We're talking everything. It's going to be a good show. Let's get it started here. All right, so last night's game. It was a great game last night. I mean, 1-1 going into the 12th with Flores coming up. You know, it's been an emotional ride for Flores this entire time. And I just want to get your quick thoughts on what it means for Flores to get that hit last night.
Well, I think it shows, that all of the Mets family cares, and obviously this was a big game for him last night. If he didn't hit the homer, so be it. He still drove in the run, made a couple nice plays. But this really kind of solidifies his spot right now in the lineup and in the team and what he's supposed to be doing this year.
Yeah, and going along with that, it's great to see the guy. You go from, do we want to talk about an emotional 48 hours? I mean, you go from almost being traded to this and that, and, he went to hell and back with all that. And, I just wanted to touch on that real quick at the beginning of the show, and you'll feel happy for him. And, we wanted to, here at the Geny Mets podcast, we wanted to get to some of your tweets. We haven't gotten to those in a while, so we're going to go through that real quick before we actually dive into last night's game. So, this one's for Josh. So, Russ O'Brien tweets, said he needs to get something done soon, referring to the trade deadline. Love to see you get suspended and re-sign him. What's your opinion? What do you think, if any? So basically, let's rephrase that question a little bit to, now that they got suspended, do they have to re-sign him? Do you want them to re-sign him?
Well, first and foremost, I definitely want them to re-sign Cespedes. The issue for me is he going to produce at Citi Field? Even with the walls in, I want to see him hit at least 10 more homers, for us to consider re-signing him. If he's not going to get to 28, for me, it's not worth spending $60, $70, $80 million on a guy who you don't know is going to produce at Citi Field. Now, if he's productive, definitely, I want him back next year. And I think we have a solid chance of re-signing him as long as, he likes New York, he likes his teammates, and he likes the front office, and I'm going to say this, ownership. I think we have a solid chance of re-signing him. But, what that would be worth, probably around 70 or 80 million.
Yeah, I think that's going with you. I really agree. I think another thing, the scrutiny that the Wilpons have been getting about how they're cheap. They go out there, the Fed produces for the Mets, you re-sign him, you give him his money, and then I think that wipes away everything about the Wilpons being cheap.
I mean, my thing is that it's not Cespedes who, if we re-sign him, it's the real key is going to be Harvey, DeGrom, Syndergaard. When we re-sign those guys, if they keep playing and pitching like they're going to pitch, they're going to be worth at least $100 million or more, and we have to be ready to spend at least probably a combined $500 million on just those three guys, and you never know, Steve Matz and Zach Wheeler too. So the Mets ownership has a big investment coming up, and they have to, be willing to spend.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that you bring that up. Maybe they're reluctant to spend now because they know they're going to have to spend all that money in the future. So that's actually a really good point that you bring up, open the perspective a little bit over there. All right, now at Mets fan Bren asked, there's no shot of re-signing Cespedes. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, first of all, I think it's not just if he doesn't like the team, if he, doesn't like playing in the National League, if he is in a steep decline in a couple of years, let's say we sign him to a 6-year deal, at that 6 year, he'll probably be, declining, and he'll probably want a DH spot. And, American League is, obviously a better fit for DHing after, you're declining. We've seen that with Pablo Sandoval, pretty much signed to play third base up until, he can't play anymore, and he'll go to the DH spot once David Ortiz is gone. Juan Cespedes is going to be tricky. I think there are three keys here. He's got to like New York, got to like his teammates, got to like ownership. If he feels it's too much pressure or the teammates don't support him maybe like they did in Oakland or the fans don't support him, then I wouldn't say he's coming back next year.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then to go along with that, I think it's just going to be team chemistry, and I really do think he's going to like it here. He's in a big city environment. Who doesn't? If the guy has numbers to play in New York, it's not like he's a scrub we just got. I really, really do think he's going to enjoy it here, and I hope he does because I think he's the stat that we've been looking for.
I mean, let's face it.
Go ahead.
He started his career in Oakland. Oakland is near San Francisco, but Oakland's not a big city. You go to Boston for 2 months. You go to Detroit for not even a full year. And then you come to New York. Maybe he's looking to stay here for a while because he doesn't want to keep switching teams, and I wouldn't blame him for that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. And then we got at Nasty Dog asking you, can we contend while trotting Cologne out there every fifth day? So basically, he's asking, can we still win ball games and contend for a playoff spot with Bartolo Colon being how bad he has been lately?
That's an excellent question. To me, I don't know what's happened to him. He's really slowed down this year. Not slowed down this year, but slowed down more recently, June, July. I thought in April, May he was doing a nice job. I feel like recently maybe the velocity's down, and not just that, I feel like he's not making pitches in the right spots, and that's going to hurt you in any instance.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, now his age is really starting to show. I mean, he was probably part of it of him maybe being good early on in the year was the cold weather, the ball's not going to travel as far, this and that. But he's in his 40s now. I mean, he's not in shape. And, I think that's finally starting to take a toll on his career. I mean, he's had a great career. I don't think he's over by any means. Maybe he could figure it out, but, with the velocity down a little bit, him not being in shape, and playing in the humid weather where the ball will carry a little bit more, I think those are all good factors that play into it.
Oh, yeah.
But to answer that question, do I think they can contend with him? I definitely think they can contend with him. I mean, think about it. You go into the playoffs, you always want the veteran leadership, and Bartolo Colon has been there. And even if he's not the best pitcher right now, or even if he's not doing so high, he's still going to bring that veteran presence. DeGrom, Matt, Wheeler, Syndergaard, and Harvey, eventually none of them are going to have any playoff starts. So for now, you got Harvey, DeGrom, and Syndergaard going to be in your rotation, possibly Matt. And none of these guys, all these guys are under 27. They have no playoff experience. They've never pitched in a huge, huge game like a playoff game. And I think having Bartolo there would definitely help them a lot to mentor them and tell them how to go about it, how to block out the fans, how to approach it the right way. And I think that's going to be very important. Aside from Bartolo's pitching, it's going to be his mentor.
I mean, and aside from the rotation itself, is you got a bullpen which has almost zero playoff experience. Tyler Clippard is pretty much the only guy in there, and I think Alex Torres was on a couple decent teams, but none that really made the playoffs. You're looking at teams here, guys in the bullpen who really don't have playoff experience either, and that could really weigh on a guy like Familia, who we've already seen blowing a couple saves this year in the second half.
Yeah, I think that's going to be big. I mean, one thing you have to understand about the Mets is they're a very young team, very young. And, I know everyone's going to say David Wright's had playoff experience. He hasn't had playoff experience since 06. I mean, I know they were in it the last game of the year, 07, 08. But this is a very young team. You got you got Clippard, and you got Bartolo. Are the two main ones that I could think of that have been in the playoffs and know what they're doing. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this team adapts. And I think one addition to playing in New York is that you're already used to all that media. You're already used to all that attention. So I think that's a positive. And it'll be very interesting, but I think they'll be all right. I mean, these guys, all of our pitchers are studs right now, and looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Epic Trayinator says, why do the Mets stink? And I'll start this one off if you don't mind, because I personally know the Trayinator.
All right, go ahead.
They're turning it on a little bit. I mean, they stunk the past God knows how many years. But the biggest reason for me is if they don't make the playoffs this year, it is the Wilpons' fault, and it is somewhat on Terry Collins for making these bad lineups sometimes. That is my personal thing. But if the Mets miss the playoffs and they don't spend any money, then Wilpons need to sell the team. They have to sell the team. They are the worst owners. I'm pretty sure Mets fans everywhere can agree that the Wilpons are the worst owners, and they're cheap, and they don't know what they're doing. And everyone brings up the Piazza trade. Doubleday made that trade, the old Mets owner who died recently. Doubleday made that trade. Back in '86 when they brought in all their draft picks, brought in Strawberry, all them, Doubleday made that happen, not the Wilpons. The Wilpons have always just sat back and brought in the revenue. So I think, they don't really know what they're doing in the front office, and I think that's part of the reason why they stink. But hopefully it's on the upswing now.
Here's the one thing that I will give the Wilpons credit is, first of all, they've done a nice job with the ballpark, all right? They didn't pay for Citi Field all the way, they did a nice job of helping design it and stuff, and they've also done a nice job of upkeeping it and all that good stuff. Now, with the product on the field, was Kadire the greatest investment? Probably not. Was Jason Bay the greatest investment they've ever made? Probably not. The Wilpons, though, have to show a willingness to spend if fans, if they want to stay in the ownership position. Rob Manfred supports them. The only people who don't support them are us, the fans, and so that's going to be an issue if we're going to try and get him out in future years.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's going to be interesting to see what the team does with them as So, I'm looking forward to that. All right, so we're going to recap last night's win. So, quick thoughts on what happened last night. What did you see?
Well, I think it was a real team effort here last night. Obviously, Wilmer Flores drove in the first one in the game, 1-0. Matt Harvey pitched a gem, was perfect through 5 and 5 1/3, I believe, actually, until a base hit was given up. Harvey pitched to the 8th. He was excellent. Unfortunately, though, 1 run is not enough. Even though we won that game 2-1, you can't score 1 run in 9 innings, 12 innings. There has to be a better way to win ball games. And we've seen the record. If we score 4 more runs, it's pretty much a win for us. So we have to somehow do it. But last night, it was a good effort. Wilmer Flores made some nice plays at second base. Daniel Murphy played his first game at first base since 2013. He was pretty darn good. In the first play of the game, he made a nice play to tag out the runner. So, it was a good win last night. And we got to move on and try and win tonight's game.
Yeah, and good win, good for Flores, good for the team. We got to move on. I'm sick and tired of this 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs a game. This team needs to come out firing on all cylinders and score runs early. Last Saturday, they scored and they went 15-2 against the Dodgers. I'm not saying they need to score 15 runs a game, but they need to come out and they need to get hot fast and start scoring runs because the pitching will take care of the rest. But the team still, even with percentage, if they keep scoring 0, 1, 2, or 3 runs, the team's going nowhere. I don't know I don't know the exact number, but they have been shut out so many times this year. I'm pretty sure I would think it's the most in the MLB. So other than that, they need to. That's the old Mets, is what I'm saying. This is the new Mets with Cespedes, Travis d'Arnaud coming back. This is the new one, and they got to start. They got to come out early. They got to score runs, and they're pitching at the pick up, which is that all year. And then referring to Harvey, that's stuff. You can't say that any other way. Harvey's out there, he's fan 9. You have a 1 earned run. You can't blame the guy was pitching in the 8th inning off Tommy John. You can't expect him to go perfect all the time. He gives up 1 run and he gets the no decision. It's just sad to see.
Here's the thing. If you're putting him on an innings limit along with Syndergaard, why are we letting these guys pitch 8 innings? I don't care if they've allowed 1 hit through 8 innings. If you want to save them for the playoffs, take them out in the 6th or 7th. It might help you win the ball games, but it's not going to help you later down the line. We don't want to shut down Harvey in late September like they did with Strasburg a few years back.
No, yeah, I agree. Well, I think another thing with that is that the bullpen as of late hasn't been very strong. And basically, your only good piece in the bullpen right now going into last night was Tyler Clippard. You knew he could get the job done, so I think that played a factor into it. And Harvey's pitch count wasn't even that high going into 7th, 8th, the latter innings of the game. And so, I think that's part of it. But it's all Terry Collins right now. If they run out of their pitching, if they hit their pitching limit by playoff time, that's going to be on Collins. It's going to be on the front office. And other than that, our pitchers are studs, and I think we got to limit them in the correct way. But I think we also have to keep them in there long enough to give us a chance to win.
All right. Well, let's move on here. Tonight's game. What are your predictions?
DeGrom's on the mound. I don't remember exactly. Do you know who's pitching for Washington tonight?
Joe Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so again, it's not Scherzer, it's not Zimmerman, it's not Gonzalez. So, you got your stud on the mound tonight. DeGrom will be, hopefully, as good as he's been these past few starts, lights out. He's got an ERA almost down to 1, I think, or he's in the low 2s. And, my prediction is they're going to come out playing hard, especially with the Wilmer Flores walk-off last night. And hopefully we don't have to see Eric Campbell in the lineup. Hopefully, he puts Newton-Heist or someone back in there that's not Eric Campbell, and I hope we see a good lineup tonight. And I expect the Mets to come out hard and win the game, score runs, and then protect DeGrom later on in the game. I don't want to see any of this 1 run through 9 innings again. I think they got to come out hard. They got to come out ready to win, and they got to come out to play hard. So other than that, I think they got to win the game tonight and take a 2-0 series lead against the Nats.
That'll do it. Geny Mets Report, podcast number 5. Signing off.